भगवान श्री योगी राम सूरत कुमार के
जय।
सर्वं योगी राम सूरत कुमारार्पणमस्तु। It's with deep gratitude for this opportunity once again, for singing his powerful name together, right in the shrine, the powerful shrine of Bhagwan. We have submitted our Nama Sankirtan, and before we offer our prayers of the day, we shall go through yet another story of his Nama's glory. A drop from the ocean of his Leelas. A few days back, we got an email from one Shriram, a student, a final year student in a school, doing his 12th standard. It is the narration of his experience, how he came into this faith, how Bhagwan changed his mindset. That 2 years back, 2016, he was still doing his 10th standard. He was something of an agnostic, with no faith in the name of God. The agnostics would not bother with the grace of God because to them, we do not know God. We have not seen Him. We do not see Him. So how do we know it is the grace of God? It's something that we do not know, we are ignorant of. So let's not bother God with anything. If we have to achieve anything, we shall do so by our hard work and intelligence. So they are skeptics. So, but still, Sri Ram chose to come with his parents to the ashram whenever they visited. And what was more, he was very impressed with the tranquility, the shanti, the peace that prevails in the ashram always. He said that he would admit to one thing, and that was the peace that distinguishes the ashram from the outside world. He was very impressed with it, and what was more, when he visited with his parents, he also sat with them to sing the name of God, say the name of Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagwan, not because he had devotion, not because he had faith. He did that. He said he was not only impressed by the peace of the ashram, he also saw how people serve this ashram. He was impressed with the sevaks, the devotees who serve, who are very simple and humble and noble in seva. So for their sake, he would also join the Nama singing. Yet he was a skeptic, a doubter. Now the time came for the exam schedule, and he was, like many students, he was very much hung upon the centum in mathematics. He was aiming at 100% in his math exam. But then his father did not have faith in his talent for mathematics, and he was not very sure. And it happened that that particular day was also a holiday for the father. So the father said, look, you go and write your mathematics exam. I would sit here at home chanting Yogi Ramsuratkumar Nama for your sake, so that you would get sent on. And then he noted down the time of the examination. So the moment the son started to write the examination, the father here at home started the chanting of the name. Sriram found the question paper easy, and he was working one sum after the other until he came to the final one, a question, a sum for 4 marks. Alas, the time was over. There was no way he could even attempt it. And what was more, there was no time for the revision of the paper. He could not go through, recheck. So he had to hand over the paper. When he came back home, he found out that his father had noted the time wrongly. He had finished the chanting just 10 minutes before the examination was over. And those were the 10 minutes he did not get to complete the paper. He had attended 96 marks and left a 4-mark question. And that was when the father had stopped. It was a coincidence, he thought. Okay, what of it? He also regretted he could not recheck the paper. There was no time. So when the marks came, he found it was 96 on 100. The 4 marks he left behind. And then the father said, look, I noted the time wrongly, and just when I stopped chanting, you left this 4-mark question, you could not attend it. But whatever you attended, whatever you wrote, was correct. You got 96 marks. You think you worked it out? It is Yogi Ramsuratkumar's Nama, the glory of his name, that you did every sum the right way, which fetched 96 marks for all the questions you have attended. But then Sriram, being agnostic, would not admit that it was grace of Bhagwan. He said, how could you say? I have worked hard. And I am good at mathematics, though of course you doubt it. It is definitely my own hard work, and the question paper was also easy. Oh, he said this and that. It was very clear he could not accept it as grace of God. But then Yogi Ramsuratkumar, who knew his mindset, was determined to prove to him how the grace worked. Now the next chance was social science. A very considerable portion he had to study for that, and they had given him 10 days study holidays. But then it was his favorite subject, and what was more, he was strong in that. And so he took it sort of easy and did not do much hard work. And when he went for the examination this time, father did not take leave. There was no leave for the father, so he did not sit through the chanting. Of course, he didn't mind because he was very strong in the subject. When he wrote the examination, he found that he could not give specific answers to some of the questions. So what he did was, he gave kind of non-committal, neutral answers to some questions, but he completed the paper. He expected only 80 on 100 because he knew in the internals he was already lacking by 1 mark. And so in any way, it could only be out of 99, he would get marks. And again, he was very doubtful because his answers were not very specific for some questions. But then he was stunned. He had no idea what was waiting for him. When the results came, he was stunned because the centum that he missed out on mathematics now came through social science. It was 100 on 100. He just could not believe it. He was wonderstruck. He said, how could it be? I did not study properly. I was overconfident, and I wrote unspecific answers, and I had already lacked by, 1 mark in the internals. How could this be centum? But then he knew. He went and asked his teacher, the internals, he lacked 1 mark. How was this? This was centum. And then the teacher said, I don't know. Something happened to me. I thought, you are a good student, you are very good at the subject, and you should not lose your centum because you lacked by 1 mark in the internals. So I gave you grace mark. I simply added 1 mark, the grace marks. And then it flashed. And he knew instantly it was always grace marks. The grace marks from Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Otherwise, how was it possible? His answers were not satisfactory, and his internal was not complete. And yet, Yogiji had done a real miracle. He made the teacher add that 1 extra grace mark, and whoever corrected the other paper, how could they give 100? He knew now, without any doubt, it was pure grace from Yogi Ramsuratkumar that worked. So he says, in everybody's life, sometime or the other, some miracle or the other happens. He doesn't need a trained eye to locate, to spot a miracle. Because a miracle is something extraordinary. It's out of the way. So one cannot but recognize it when it happens. But then to be able to accept this miracle with humility and gratitude and devotion takes some training. It takes something more, a preparation of the mind. So he says now he's well rooted in the faith of the glory of his Bhagwan's name, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Now, whenever he wants something, he chants the name, and then it's made available to him. Help comes, help is rushed to him, yes. But there are times when he doesn't get what he wants, despite the chanting of the name, despite the prayer. But then he says, Bhagwan, out of his grace, gives him the wisdom to accept it as a blessing in disguise. He draws wisdom from this blessing. Now, What knowledge at such an young age? He must be 18 now. He's in his 12th standard. But for someone of his age, to get this wisdom. And you know, he has written the article so well, so precise, full of wisdom, a very good narration, that I was so impressed with his writing that I thought I should share it with you all. There are other cases where there was one student who came and told me some time back that she would write the questions that she studied so well, she would write them beforehand, put them at the feet of Bhagwan at home, in front of his picture. And then whenever she went to the examination hall, she would get the same questions. It never failed. There was another one who reported that he had fever for 5 days, raging fever, and the examination was CA, nothing less than CA. We all know how difficult it is to get a pass in that. And with the raging fever, he decided he wouldn't be able to attend the examination at all. So he chose to chant the name Yogi Ramsuratkumar. So in fever also, he chanted and chanted and chanted. That was the only thing he could do. On the 5th day, the fever came down. He went and attended. And then he did not know the answers at all. So he simply said Yogi Ramsuratkumar, some random precision. He just ticked. His hand was being dragged as though someone was dragging his hand here and there, and his tongue was pronouncing Yogi Ramsuratkumar. He simply ticked, not knowing it was the answer, and he got a pass. How could he explain these things? Of course, there are people who can argue it is not fair if the student has not studied well. He cannot get a pass by grace because even that is not right. But maybe Bhagwan had said, if there is a higher dharma, a lower dharmic principle can be sacrificed for the sake of a higher dharma. So probably to inculcate faith, to inculcate a lofty idea, a lofty value in the minds of the devotee, the grace can do something, some miracle like this. In any case, we know that his name works. So we have chanted Yogi Ramsuratkumar's name for 1 hour, and we have been doing it for the past 6 months all together. Even if it's only 100 people, it is still very powerful. Somehow, the disease, the situation is so severe, it has not still come up to the mark. It has not earned the relief that we seek because it's not yet enough. So we shall go on praying, we shall go on chanting his name and praying, Bhagwan, beloved Bhagwan, kindly bestow your grace to free this world from the terror